coming to Woodward Sports. Woodward and Main Street. The Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Listen! The Detroit Lions are here to stay. They're not messing around. They're the Kings of the North, contenders. Let's go, drinking the Kool-Aid again. Let's go!
Sorry, I'm just answering the phone call. Welcome to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Wow, what a game last night. We were at the studio till, damn near 1 a.m.? Some people a little later than that. Well, guess what? We got a packed show for you guys planned for today. Recapping yesterday, the Detroit Lions traveling to Lambeau Field and whooping the Green Bay Packers. Ooh. That was never close. It wasn't close in the first half. Second half, hey, got a little shaky, but guess what? They responded, they closed it out. That was a hell of a football game. What a performance. You could name, honestly, you can't even highlight one or two guys. You'd have to highlight about 9 to 11 guys on the entire football team. They played extremely well. And wow, what a statement, Sam Flannel, for the NFC North.
Absolutely. Oh, look what just magically appeared.
Hold on. Here you go.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Right. Drank the Kool-Aid. There you go. Yeah, this is how it's going down today. A lot of Kool-Aid. And hey, listen, we got our number one medals. Yeah, it's 4 games in, and I have a number one medal. Because that NFC North is the Detroit Lions to lose. The Packers are the only team, in my opinion, standing in the way or challenging the Lions. And look at that, Sam. Go! Chug! Oh my God, Sam, you're going to die. Look at Man's about to puke all over the... Okay. Oh. Yeah, that's actually drinking the Honolulu Kool-Aid. And listen, this is... Damn. And I have so many things to say, and we're going to get through a lot of stuff today on the show. We're going to cover a lot of different angles on this. The Aiden Hutchinson angle at 8:30, the defensive line. We're going to talk about the NFC North division at this point. They just need to keep winning. And we'll preview the next 4 games, by the way, because it is looking more favorable than it did prior. And then Jared Goff at 9 o'clock. And then, of course, 9:16, me and Sam will go around the NFL, talk about, give our predictions on some of the other games coming out this Sunday. And then, of course, at 9:30, I do want to have a conversation about Jahmyr Gibbs. And before anybody reacts, it's not all negative. I did see a lot of discussions yesterday about Jahmyr Gibbs and people still out there complaining. I do want to have that discussion later in the show. But right now I want to get into takeaways. Takeaways. Speaking of takeaways, Jerry Jacobs, 2 takeaways yesterday on Jordan Love. And I know yesterday, and people are going to say, ha, Jeff, you were fearful of Jordan Love. I wasn't fearful. I was what I was scared of is the unknown of Jordan Love. I didn't know what he was yet. And again, you'd expect after 7 touchdowns, 1 interception through 3 games, that there was going to be a point where the Jordan Love stock takes a divot and kind of dips a little bit. Boy, did it dip last night, Sam Flannel.
Oh, yes. Well, before we get too deep into the weeds, into the takeaways, I just wanted to say that this is a good day, everybody. This is a day of celebration. This is a day of joy. This is the kind of day that we as Lions fans for so long only dreamed of. And in honor of that, all I have to say right now is, this is how you fuck. This is how you fuck. This is how you fuck. You fuck because you're not. What does that mean? I don't know. I made it up, but damn it is all good. Because you know what happened yesterday? The Lions fucked all over the Green Bay Packers. It's almost as if one of the Lions players had intercourse with one of the ladies right on top of Quay Walker. That might as well would have happened. Quay Walker, he had a hell of a game in some ways, but he also acted like a petulant child and screwed his team over with a terrible penalty. But anywho, a 17-point road divisional win over the team that was tied for you for first place. Not anymore. The Lions are now 3-1, and they are in firm control of this game. And here's why this victory to me was... It's special in a couple of different ways, not just for what happened last night, but just in terms of the overall sort of trajectory of the team. The Lions right now, they have completely flipped the rivalry with the Packers. Did you know that in Aaron Rodgers' first 23 starts for the Packers against the Lions, he was 18-5 against them? The Packers were 18-5 against the Lions. Ever since then, the Lions are now 4-0. So the Lions have pretty much owned the Packers at this point, and it looks to be, I'm feeling pretty good about, at least for this year, them winning at home on Thanksgiving. And also, one of the things that really impressed me about last night, and this week as a whole, because this is Victory Day number 2 of the week. How often do we get to have 2 of these in a week? Kind of the bookend of the week, Monday and Friday Victory Days. The Lions bounced back from that bad loss to the Seattle Seahawks. Nowadays, we don't even know that it happened. The Lions won those games by a combined margin of 28 points while giving up 13 points per game, completely choking the life out of the Falcons, completely choking the life out of the Packers. It is a wonderful day. And one of the takeaways that I have, and I think there are many, many reasons why the Lions won this game. I think we would all agree with it. It was complete and total domination. But before the game, I said that the Lions needed to do two things, and they most certainly did. Run the football and stop the run.
Yep.
The Lions rushed for 211 yards and 3 touchdowns on 4.9 yards per carry. That offensive line and David Montgomery just completely dominated and demoralized that rushing offense as a whole. Jahmyr Gibbs had a couple of big runs. Khalif Raymond had that 40-yard end around to set up a score. It was a great day because that Packers rushing defense is bad, and the Lions took advantage. They also needed to stop the run. And did you know that before the game, the Lions rush defense was ranked 5th in the NFL? They are now 4th.
Yep.
They are 4th because they completely choked the life out of another rushing attack, out of another great running back. Isaiah Pacheco, done. Kenneth Walker, done. Bijan Robinson, done. And now Aaron Jones, done. It was just a complete and utter domination in the trenches, and it was just a lot of what I said and what I predicted could happen came true, and it all culminated in a Lions dominating 34-17 win.
Yeah, and if you think about it too, and you mentioned them running for over 200 yards.
Yeah.
They rushed for at least 200 yards and 3 touchdowns in a game for the first time since September 13th, 1998. Guess what? You go back and you look at the 13th game in a row, scoring 20 or more points. That's also another record, tying the franchise record set in 1995. You get one more game scoring at least 20, they broke the franchise record. They won their 6th straight divisional game for the first time since 1995. Oof. And I want to say this too, but just to kind of sum it up here before we go to break. They went into that football game expecting to win.
Yep.
This is not the same old Lions, the big bad Packers. The Detroit Lions are now kings of the NFC North. They are the team to beat. They're all looking up. They went from being, hunting to being the hunted. That's how the Lions are. And under this new regime, all Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes, even from a GM perspective, and all these players, all they know is beating the Packers.
All they know is
with
beating
Aaron
the Packers.
Rodgers, with Jordan Love. Talk about a confidence level. Going to Lambeau Field, and I mentioned that yesterday, it does something for these guys. And boy, it played out that way. Let's go to break when we get back. I want to get into all our takeaways because I didn't want to give out too much, but there's a ton of stuff to get into. We'll do just that in a couple of minutes. But first, Sam Flannel, could I hear about our friends from Lady Jane's?
Yes, of course. And if you wanted a great haircut like the one I have to celebrate a Lions victory, you can go to Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. For an award-winning haircut experience, register to win a trip of your dreams. And all expenses paid suite for the 2024 NCAA tourney. That's right, no expense spared for you and 5 of your best buds. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
All right, 3, 2.
Hey, it's Chris Hansen, Woodward Sports. Let's go.
Because listen, play, practice, and party at 5 Iron Golf, downtown's newest sports bars, 13 TrackMan simulators, certified instructors, and most importantly, a full bar and restaurant. You mentioned promo code Woodward at checkout for 50% off your first visit, and visit 5irongolf.com to tee up good times. Whether you're a serious golfer like D-Mac or you stink like me and Sam Flannel, 5 Iron is the spot for you. Man, oh man, it's Victory Friday in the D, everybody. Guess what? Over in Lambeau, very sad morning for a lot of Packers fans. They looked appalled at Lambeau. It looked like Ford Field out there in Lambeau. Did you see how many Lions fans were out there? And Sam Flannel, I want to say this because I didn't want to give it away last segment because, again, we have this tendency to just spill everything in the first segment because there's a lot to get to.
Yeah.
If you would have told me, Sam, that through the first 4 games, both they'd win in Lambeau and at Arrowhead,
Yes.
I would have told you you're crazy.
Yes.
They did both. They won both road games. They're 2-0 on the road. And more than that, I wanted to bring up something that I kind of mentioned yesterday. Because you look at this Lions team. They're one of the youngest rosters. Yeah, they added veterans. They were one of the youngest rosters last year. This team and the youth they have, they don't remember. They weren't here with the Lions when Aaron Rodgers was haunting us. They weren't here. You look at the young players, all they know now is beating the Packers. That's the mentality switch for this football team. Aiden Hutchinson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, no Kirby Joseph, but even when Kirby was playing, all these guys know is dominating the Packers. And I'm telling you, that means something. That's the mental switch. That's what Dan Campbell did when he first got here, is made these guys believe. And they did. And they went into Lambeau. They took care of the Packers in Lambeau Field, which historically a tough place to play. And you look at just more than that too, which is crazy to say this. But the Detroit Lions, and like I said last segment, they are the hunted. There is nobody else in this division that is close. The Packers are the closest. You took care of them at home. And you think about it, the next time they play the Packers is Thanksgiving, and they play them at home. So you look at the injuries too, and I didn't even get to that because that's a lot of credit to the coaching staff and to the players. You talk about no C.J. Gardner-Johnson, no Kirby Joseph, no Emmanuel Mosley, no problem. That's how they treated this. That defense was dominant, and Sam Flannel, this is the first game so far this season. They've played a complete football game, offensively efficient. You talk about the Jared Goff turnover, it is what it is. The defense held them to 3. The defense was dominant. This was the first complete football game. Yep. The Falcons game was a good win, but the offense, they couldn't convert in the red zone, but they still won the football game. That's all that matters. They're a couple plays from being 4-0, Sam Flannel. That's significant. And I think if they keep on winning, the conversation isn't going to go from just the NFC North. We're talking NFC. Like, we're looking at the big dogs, as you should be. But right now, I think a lot of Lions fans are just like, hey, win the division. That's our focus. Win these divisional games. If you keep beating teams like you have been the last 2 games, and even at Arrowhead, we're talking, okay, Eagles, 49ers. How do the Lions match up with those guys in the postseason? It's a new era in Detroit Lions football, and a lot of credit to the coaches and the players for that.
Yes, when two of your divisional opponents are 0-3, which statistically means they are done. And when you watch those teams play, particularly the Chicago Bears, they are 100% done. And then your one divisional opponent that you think might have a shot or might at least have a chance to challenge you or maybe even challenge for a wild card spot, you go into their building and beat them by 17. You outrush them 211-27. You force Jordan Love to throw the football 36 times because you get up on them 27-3 23 at halftime, which we all knew was a winning formula because Jordan Love, he's not Desmond Ridder, but he is, I would say, he's proven to be, I would say, a little bit less than mid because he threw 2 interceptions, both of them to Jerry Jacobs, by the way. Shout out. We'll get to him more later. It was just, I expected the Lions to win this game. 100%. Certainly when they got Taylor Decker and David Montgomery, it was made known that they were playing, and they made a hell of an impact, by the way. I didn't expect them to thoroughly dominate the way that they did. I mean, you talked about it, a complete game. We all know that the strength of this team is the offensive line.
Right.
They hadn't really put together a full game of like dominant running of the football. We had some good games from David Montgomery and a good game from Jahmyr Gibbs last week against Atlanta, but this was the game in which they rushed for over 200 yards. If you do that in the NFL, you pretty much have a 90% chance of winning. That's not like based in a stat or anything that I can correlate, but you know what I mean. It shows that you dominate. If you outrush your opponents by damn near 200, and while also winning the turnover battle, you dominate that football game. And
right.
that was a statement. The NFC North is the Detroit Lions and it's here to stay. And the Packers are probably licking their wounds and even questioning if they're good or not. It's 4 games into the season, and we're feeling so great about our position. We're 3-1. It's exactly where we thought we would be.
And you think about it, too, for Jordan Love's sake, and this is the one thing that I kind of mentioned in the pregame show, but I really believe it to be true. It's the psychology of it, right? And we talk about confidence, what it means for Lions players. What about for Jordan Love? Mm-hmm. Like, for a guy that young, starting a handful of football games, every time he's seen the Lions, he's lost. That's what he knows mentally. That matters. Like Aaron Rodgers has been whooping ass for 20 years, and Jordan Love in his first handful of games has taken L's. That's what matters, because now Jordan Love is like, okay, the big bad Lions. You think Aaron Rodgers ever said that? No. Aaron Rodgers always looked at it. He's like, I'm the father in this division. Well, guess what, Jordan Love? You're the son. You're the cute little son, Jordan Love, and they're going to keep bullying you for a long time. And listen, I might have said that last night on the pregame show. I'm nervous what Jordan Love could be. He stinks right now. Yeah. That's a fact. Who knows what he looks like in 5 years, but as of right now, he stinks. And the Detroit Lions, they set nothing's better as a Lions fan, I know a lot of people can relate to this, than setting records in Lambeau Field. Isn't that great? And I'll read some records for you guys, because that's what's significant. Held Green Bay to 27 yards rushing, the fewest they've allowed against Green Bay since October 25th, 1987. Scored 34 points at Green Bay. Their most in Green Bay since January 1st, 2012. Setting records, franchise records in Green Bay with the help of some of these younger players too. Sam Laporta, crazy stat on Sam Laporta too. And this is unbelievable because I couldn't believe it when I first read it either. Sam Laporta, rookie tight end, has more receptions, 22. In his first career games than any tight end in NFL history. Any tight end in NFL history, Sam. Not just Lions. Any tight end. You put the Hall of Famers up. Mike Ditka, he had more than him. The only tight end with more receiving yards, though, is Mike Ditka. He has 242. Mike Ditka had 315. More receptions in about 60 yards, but 70 yards under Mike Ditka. We're talking about a guy that's on a trajectory right now that's damn scary. Had 4 catches again last night. Josh Reynolds showed up. That's a guy I asked to show up. I talked about him yesterday. For me, it was Aleem McNeil and Josh Reynolds. And boy, did they show up. Aleem McNeil, and we talked about this before the show, you could argue the second best game of his career. Behind the Saquon Barkley, what he did against the New York Giants. That was unbelievable. Guys stepped up. I saw Jack Campbell now kind of playing some of that Sam linebacker, filling in for James Houston there. The guys just stepped up in the secondary. And like I said, no C.J. Gardner-Johnson. No Emmanuel Mosley still. No Kirby Joseph. You have Tracy Walker out there coming off an Achilles injury. No problem. Brian Branch, a little banged up. We'll see how that progresses, but he played great when he was on the football field as well. Everybody stepped up, especially that defensive line. And boy, I'm telling you one thing. When they're playing at their best, they're playing like this, and Jared Goff said it best, they can beat anybody, but more than that, they can travel anywhere. Guess what, Sam Flannel? That offensive line travels.
Yes.
That defensive line travels. How they run the ball travels. David Montgomery got 30 carries last night. 32. Like, I'm telling you, what they did yesterday, that was significant on prime time for the entire world to see. You want people doubting the Detroit Lions? Are they for real? Right, they're 2-1. Is it fugazi? Guess what? No, it ain't. You're 3-1, and they just whooped the Packers' ass on national television. Like, that's significant. That sends a message to America. The Lions are here.
I mean, the Lions 2-1 certainly wasn't a fugazi, but the Packers 2-1, I think it is proven to be a fugazi. And you know why winning at Lambeau Field, a place which has traditionally been a house of horrors for the Lions, it's more significant than even what it means for this season. It kind of is going with the trend. What have we seen oftentimes throughout history? A lot of players play their best game against the Lions. Their running back will get their career high. A quarterback like Matt Flynn, for example, will get himself paid by the Seattle Seahawks because of what he did against the Lions. Right. But this year, Jordan Love came into the game. I know it was a little bit of a fugazi, and his completion percentage was absolutely terrible. It actually went up a little bit in this game, but like,
that's true.
That just speaks to how bad it was. But he did have a 7-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, which is, I mean, that's like elite of elite if you do that.
Yep.
In this game, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. That's the type. I mean, those are the type of games that the Lions are now forcing opposing players into doing. Because, as I mentioned it early on I mentioned it in the last segment, but I'll get to it into more detail right now. Isaiah Pacheco, his worst game of the season was against the Lions. Kenneth Walker, his worst game of the season so far was against the Lions.
Talk to him, Sam.
Bijan Robinson, his worst game of the season by far was against the Lions. Aaron Jones, he only played in one other game. He probably wishes he would have sat out in this game because he only carried the ball 5 times for 18 yards. I mean, think about this. Jordan Love attempted 36 passes. The Green Bay Packers rushed the ball 12 times. That's a 3-to-1 ratio.
That's the path to victory. What did we talk about yesterday, Sam?
Yes.
Make Jordan Love beat you. Don't let them run the football. And guess what? The Lions defensive line said, I got you. Shut down the run. And that's ideal for guys like Desmond Ridder and Jordan Love right now in their careers. Started a handful of games. Those guys want to be comfortable. Matt LaFleur knows that. Get the run game going. Establish play action. Get those guys in favorable positions. Make easy reads. You forced Jordan Love to beat you. Thank you. And guess what? He had no chance to. He didn't. So that was the game plan. They stuck to it, and they executed.
Yep. And do you know, I mean, and I know we all watched it last night, and we saw certainly the game domination. What about the first half domination? That is one of the reasons why the Packers had to become one-dimensional, because they had to try to crawl their way out of a 27-3 hole. Do you know how hard it is to be up on an NFL team of any caliber 27-3 at halftime? In particular, a road divisional opponent, a team that, even though it was a little bit fugazi, had a 2-1 record, which coming into the game was the exact same as the Detroit Lions. When you do that and you have a quarterback like Jordan Love on the other end, you can pretty much just kick back and chill. And I know the Packers made it a little bit too close for comfort at times during the game, but once they cut it to 27-17, do you know what the Detroit Lions did? They went on a touchdown drive that took 8 minutes and 52 seconds off of the clock and closed down the club effectively. And it was and that drive was helped out by a Quay Walker stupid penalty. So that was pretty nice too. But once the Packers made it a little bit too close, the Lions of the past, they may have just went on a 3-and-out. They may have wilted. They may not have lost the game, but it would have been a close game at the end. But this Lions team, led by that offensive line, led by David Montgomery, was just like, we're going to close the door. And they did, and it was absolutely wonderful. This is what good teams do. Mm-hmm. We're not used to this. Like I would say the last 10 games of last year and the first 4 games of this year, the Lions have looked like you could argue that the Lions have looked like the better team in every game except the Carolina game. In 13 out of their last 14 games, the Lions have played well enough to win in a lot of ways.
I'll tell you what, the last 14 games, Sam Flannel, I know this dates back to last season, they're 11-3.
That's unbelievable.
11-3, everybody. Remember that big thing? They were 8-2 down the stretch. We'll see how they can keep it up. Well, you lost a close one at home to Seattle, but you're still 3-1. That's the positives in this whole thing. You're leading your division. That was the goal from the start. Win the division, host a playoff game, be favorited, and win. That's the formula. That's what I expect this year. And Sam Flannel, they're on track so far. I'll tell you that. Let's go to break when we get back. I do want to bring up Aiden Hutchinson because Sam Flannel, your guy was out there.
He was.
Wrecking plays once again. So we have to bring him up. Darius Slay had a comment about Aiden Hutchinson. And you guys are going to want to see what he said. Because, boy, a former Lion was hyping up a current Lion. But before we do that, Sam Flannel, where should Lions fans celebrate after a victory like this?
Oh, they should celebrate at Dispo, of course. Experience the true meaning of exceptional cannabis products with the best dispensary around Dispo. With over 12 locations, including their new location that is now open in Whitmore Lake, Dispo is never far away. Dispo Romeo is now open until midnight every day except Sunday. The only cannabis mall of its kind. Dispo Dispensary, DispoShops.com, your local cannabis plug.
Where's the most convenient place to get that big fitness energy?
It's Planet Fitness.
Join today for just $1 down, $10 a month. With over 2,400 locations and equipment for every workout, you can get in, get energized, and get going. And with free fitness training and most clubs open 24 hours, everyone belongs in the judgment-free zone. So join today for $1 down, $10 a month, no commitment, cancel anytime. Deal ends Wednesday, September 13th.
Join now at any Metro Detroit location. Hurry, offer ends soon.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder.
It's the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour.
You're a good coach, Tim. Oh, great shot.
Some of the biggest names in Michigan sports, and some, well, not so much.
Good, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, shit. Go in.
Watch episodes at woodwardsports.com.
When buying or selling real estate, flexibility and control over the sales process is key. Sellers, how would you like the freedom of canceling your listing agreement at any time for any reason with no penalty? That is exactly what Mark White and Associate offers. It's called the minute-by-minute listing agreement by Mark White and Associates. Try Mark White's risk-free minute-to-minute listing agreement today. Looking to buy or sell real estate? Visit markwhitesales.com or give them a call at 248-290-8242. MarkWhiteSales.com, where flexibility meets success.
Welcome back. Everybody get comfortable. Right, it's the morning show here on the Woodward Sports Network, recapping a Detroit Lions victory, divisional win against the Green Bay Packers in dominant fashion. Again, for all the people that are tuning in, if you're new, if you're not, again, we appreciate you all for taking the time out of your morning to choose us. The next thing I ask of you is if you could like the stream. It does support the show, supports the channel. It does support also the algorithm to get this show out there. So thank you for that. Another thing, too, if you can't watch the show live, you can always re-listen. Any podcast app you got, Morning Woodward Show, leave a 5-star review. Look at this, Honolulu Blue Sparty. Jeff Iafrate stepped up his game, smooth operator behind the mic and prepared. Appreciate you, Honolulu Blue Sparty. For everybody joining too, again, appreciate you guys, man. It's just a great day in Detroit for everybody. This is like it's personal. Like Dion said, it's personal. The Green Bay Packers, it's different. This isn't like beating the Atlanta Falcons. This is beating a divisional opponent, a team that has haunted you for a long time with a different quarterback. But this is the start of a new era. Speaking of a new era, here's a fun stat. Dan Campbell became the first Lions head coach to win 4 straight games against the Packers since Monte Clark in 1982. Look at that. I'm telling you, this is not a lie when I say that this is a new era. And there's data everywhere, Sam, like records being set, Dan Campbell setting his own personal records, especially when you're in Lambeau Field, setting records feels a lot better. But I'll tell you one thing that Jared Goff, and because I want to talk about him for a second, one thing I love about Jared Goff, like, put the records aside for a second. Let's just talk about the quarterback, the QB1 of the Detroit Lions. One thing I respect a ton about Jared Goff is every time he's thrown a pick this season, he's responded with the TD drive. That's facts. That is not me making anything up. It seems like when he makes a mistake, Jared Goff, now ideally you wouldn't want him to throw a pick, obviously. But when he does, guess what he does? Responds. Yep. So what I asked of this defense early in the season is just please bail him out. Not saying he's a guy that needs to be bailed out, but just please help your quarterback. Like there's defenses in the NFL, like the Dallas Cowboys or the 49ers, or I think the Eagles are in that sphere as well, where if a mistake is made, you can count on a defense to bail you out. That's how it should be. It's complementary football. And the Lions have shown that this last game yesterday. Jared Goff throws a pick. They hold him to 3. Jared goes down and scores. They're playing together. It's different. And shout out to Jared Goff. After that pick, he was lights out.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's not even just this game. You could go over the last 3, as you kind of alluded to. In this game, Jared Goff throws an early interception on the first drive of the game, sets the Packers up in the red zone. And what do? Absolutely nothing. They get a field goal, and then the Lions take over, and there's pretty much no looking back from there. And Jared Goff, he made a lot of very, very big throws during the game. That touchdown pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown to put him ahead 7-3. He made a couple of huge ones to Josh Reynolds, a couple of huge ones to Sam Laporta. As a quarterback, you kind of have to have amnesia. You're going to throw interceptions, you're going to make mistakes, but you have to forget about it. You have to move on. And Jared Goff's resiliency and his ability to overcome and make up for his mistakes has been absolutely huge and pivotal. I would argue that when it comes to his play this year, that might be his biggest strength. Don't let an interception turn into a 3 and out, another interception. Go back and just make it up on the offensive end. And the Lions are 3-1, and in the one game they lost, they put up 31 points. So Jared Goff is certainly I would say, one of the bright spots for the Lions. He hasn't been elite or anything, but he has played more than well enough to win. Because you look at the game against the Falcons, once again, the Lions were in pretty much complete control of that game. But Jared Goff kind of may have, I would say, attempted to let the Falcons back in with that pick to Jesse Bates that set the Falcons up in Lions territory, but the Falcons didn't really do a whole lot with it. They were held to a field goal, and then, as you said before, the Lions were able to get the ball back and score a touchdown and make it 20-6. It was pretty much a wrap. Even against the Seahawks, Jared Goff throws a brutal pick 6, which it was, to put the Lions down by 10, but it was Jared Goff who helped bring them back and tie the game and send them to overtime. That's kind of what you said. In previous years, especially in 2021 and even in early 2022, if Jared Goff makes a mistake, the Lions are screwed. They don't have a defense that can, as you say, bail them out. But this year they have that. This defense right now, and I know we'll talk on it a little bit more later, in the last couple of games, they're allowing only 13 points per game. And that is absolutely dominant. And as a whole, they're allowing just over 20. You're right. Complementary football. When the offense has a little bit of a tough day, when they make a mistake, there's a defense there to bail them out. And when the Lions, I would say, play a mediocre offensive game against Atlanta, there's the defense there to allow them to 6 points. Again, this is what good football teams do. This is what complete football teams do.
And even this comment too, who farted, football ain't about being perfect. If that bothers you, then this isn't the sport for you. You're spot on. The Lions have found ways to win. Like I've talked about it before this game specifically because this was different. They played together. I mean, offensively, defensively, special teams. But before this, the Falcons, the defense was playing really well. The offense played well enough. But who cares? They're winning. Yeah. They're winning. Like Neil will always says, score one more point to the other team. I don't give a damn about what happens, right? That's important. Getting the win, the W, the win in your win column there, boosting yourself up to 3-1. That's what matters, guys. And for the Detroit Lions' sake, and I saw another comment too, and I want to be honest here because I think it's important. For this one, where is it here? King Tommy, I could be wrong, but didn't Jeff have us at 2-2 through 4 games? I did. And I'm glad I'm wrong. I am. I'm glad I'm wrong because I even underestimated this football team. I did. And that's why I said we'll see how it plays out the next 4 games because you talk about the Panthers at home. They travel to Tampa to take on the Buccaneers. They travel to the Ravens. It's going to be a tough one, but still, these games are winnable. They welcome the Raiders at home, and then they go into their bye week. We'll see how the next couple games trends up, but I'm telling you right now, Sam, that performance, not saying they'll do that every week, but man, you have performances like that. Now we're talking, okay, 49ers, Eagles, Lions. And then you can talk about Dallas, but they're in that conversation. Through the first couple games, they won in Arrowhead. It was impressive. But you're sitting there going, okay, let's see how this plays out. They came right back and responded and dominated a pretty good football team. I think the Packers are a team that can win 8-9 games, maybe 7-8 games. But still, they're not some trash football team. You dominated a pretty well-coached, a pretty good football team, and that matters. On the road.
On the road.
In Lambeau.
And do you know what I love about this too? Before the season, and I know this is kind of a game that we like to play as fans sometimes, but it's relevant to this conversation. If you would have been told before the season that they would start 3-1, you would have taken that a million times out of a million, especially with some of the tough games that the Lions had facing them at Arrowhead, home versus Seattle, at Green Bay, and the Lions come out of it 3-1 and in complete and firm control of the division right now. They have the tiebreaker over the Packers, and I think the Lions are going to be heavy favorites when they have the rematch with the Packers at home on Thanksgiving.
Right.
And that's what's so beautiful about it. The things that, like I said, if you would have guaranteed 3-1, every single one of us would have taken it, and they're actually out there and doing it.
And you know what I love too, Sam, and this is kind of the part of the whole, like, it's a new era thing. It's not just from players. Those referees, and I'm not complaining about the referees because I hate doing that personally, unless it's egregious. But there was some adversity at going towards the Lions there throughout that football game. And it gave you, at least the fans that scream SOL, brought up some bad memories. Like when the clock hit 0 and Jordan Love got that pass off to Jayden Reed. Although Dan Campbell talked about it, and technically it's when the ref sees it, so I get all that. But like that happens, that stuff happens, and you lose. It happened, and they still dominated. I know they got a little passive in the second half, but man, even the refs. I saw a referee out there, and this is what I was confused about. His first NFL season as a referee, he's doing primetime. What the hell are we doing? Like, I swear, Roger Goodell or whoever organizes these referees are going, okay, it's your first season? Okay, let's put you with the Lions. Okay, we'll put you on primetime with the Lions because you're bound to fuck up. So you could go ref the Lions. Does that sound okay? And he's out there, right? And some calls went against the Lions. Some calls went for the Lions. The Quay Walker one, that's when I knew. I'm like, okay. Quay Walker trying to Michael Jordan over the center there and gets the flag, which, again, costed the Packers 4 more because they kicked the field goal and they ended up scoring on that drive. But they played through adversity. And this is a consistent theme with this football team. No matter what you throw at them, they're unfazed. That speaks to coaching. Those guys are just ready. Next man up, if he's back there. And if he hasn't had the greatest resume so far in Detroit, but this year he's playing great. He is. Derek Barnes, like a guy that I kind of forgot about. Like you talk about the linebackers, you really get to Derek like third or fourth in that linebacker room. He's making plays. Benito Jones, Lee McNeil, John Kaminsky showed up for the first. Like it's unbelievable. And a lot of things. And I got to say, that was probably one of the more impressive things. The referees, some bad calls are made, but it all kind of evened out. And the Lions didn't just turtle.
Yes.
Like Claude Lemieux. They went out there and they kicked ass.
Yes.
And I appreciate that.
It was the Packers who turtled pretty much from the beginning of the game on. And here's the thing. In the National Football League, when you go on the road, especially against a team like Green Bay, who I wouldn't say they're a good team this year, but they have a lot of talented players, and they have that cachet of being the Green Bay Packers. Not everything is going to go your way. Not all of the calls are going to go your way. Wasn't it just so funny that on that throw from Jordan Love to Jayden Reed where the clock had already hit 0, that was probably the best throw I've ever seen from Jordan Love. It just happened to it shouldn't have counted, but it was just that piece of adversity that the Lions just had to go through.
And that led to a touchdown.
Yes, that absolutely did. That was the one time of the game where I wasn't worried, but the Packers were a 2-point conversion away from making it a 1-score game. And that play should have never even happened because the clock had clearly hit 0. And that is when Jordan Love all of a sudden decides to be a good quarterback. That's the type of adversity that as Lions fans who are kind of jaded, you're just sort of like, uh-oh. But as I said before, how do they respond? With a 8-minute and 52-yard touchdown drive to make it 34-17. You're going to have to overcome, and you're going to have to find a way. Because there are reasons in which, like, there are going to be bad calls, as I said before.
Of course.
And that is a reason that maybe games are a little bit closer. That hands to the face on Aiden Hutchinson, I think, was ticky-tack. That helmet-to-helmet on Alex Anzalone, in which, where was he supposed to hit him, right? It wasn't late. It wasn't out of bounds. It was just called a helmet-to-helmet. Those both occurred on a drive that also led to a Green Bay Packers touchdown. But if you overcome and you find a way, that kind of shows that you can do it. Because you never want to be that team that blames the refs for losses. You can kind of say, haha, the refs tried to keep the Packers in the game, but that's all they did. Keep them in the game. It wasn't helping the Packers beat the Lions, because despite all of that, the Lions won by 17 on the road. 34-17, doubled the Packers score.
34-20.
34-20,
but
my
still,
bad.
Two scores.
My bad, yeah.
2 scores. I mean, what? They scored 34 in Lambeau.
Yes.
Again, against a defense that had some guys out. All right, but they still had Kenny Clark. They still had Preston Smith. They still had some guys out there. I mean, it's deep. I wonder what Packers fans are saying, and I love this comment too. I forgot who it was. Coach Walk. It's great. If I'd like to be a fly in the wall in a Green Bay chat room right now because we beat them down, I would love to just listen to what Packers fans are saying right now. Like those damn Lions, man. Those damn Lions. Those sons of bitches. And now we're going to control this division for the time being. And I'll tell you one thing, Goff. And I want to talk more about Goff kind of later. But that man, like, he just knows how to beat the Packers. I don't know. I don't know. And he did it in L.A. too, but it's different. Like, he came from L.A. already with the mindset of, like, yeah, I beat this team in the playoffs against Aaron Rodgers. And he comes out now, Jordan Love. Listen, it's not all Jared Goff, but even with the pick, man, like, Jared's been a big part of that. Let's see. Steve Brown is talking like there could be an asterisk after the game. Some guys are out. No, I never said that. I don't give a damn who's out. Remember I said week 1, Travis Kelce, Chris Jones? I don't give a damn. Go win. I'll take the win. And those people who bring up asterisks, it's stupid. It's ridiculous. I don't give a damn who was out. Jair, who cares? Guess what? No C.J. Gardner-Johnson, no Kirby Joseph, no Emmanuel Mosley. Those are 3 of your better secondary players. Didn't matter. Hey, cheers. Drink your Kool-Aid today.
Yeah, no, there's no talk of any asterisks or anything like that, because I would say that in terms of injury luck, I would say that with the Lions and the Packers, it was relatively even, because the Packers, they actually got Christian Watson back. Yeah. They got Aaron Jones back, who are their best 2 position players. The Lions were missing some guys as well. You didn't even mention James Houston. Kirby Joseph, who really likes Lambeau Field.
He does.
Who we all know really likes Lambeau Field. C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Like you said, the Packers, Elton Jenkins, Devondre Campbell, David Bakhtiari. This is the NFL. And honestly, if the Packers do have some players missing, you just have to take advantage, which I think the Lions pass rush and defense certainly did, of David Bakhtiari and Elton Jenkins being out. And I think the Lions run game took advantage of Devondre Campbell being out. And even Jair Alexander. He's one of the best corners in the league. You just have to take advantage because everybody's hurt. The Lions have a lot of hurt players. Jamison Williams hasn't even played this year. We don't even talk about him. I don't want to hear anything about asterisks or anything like that, especially when the win was as dominating as it was. It wasn't a one-point game. It wasn't a game where they got lucky. It was a thorough snap-to-snap beatdown.
Thorough. Very thorough. And I'll say one more thing before we go to break here. You know what should have Lions fans more optimistic is you're 3-1, and guess who's coming back? You're getting back up, everybody. Kirby will be coming back. Emmanuel Mosley will be coming back. We'll see with CJ maybe at the end of the season, but, more up in the air. Vaitai will be coming back. Josh Pascal will be coming back. We'll see with Houston. Might be season ending, but he could be returning. By the way, this is a medal. I know someone asked about it. See that number 1 right there? My NFC North medal. I'm already celebrating like they won. I am. Because I don't see another team that's going to challenge this football team. I don't. And we're going to talk about that very soon. But first, Sam Flannel, could you tell us about Guardian Alarm?
Absolutely.
Not as elite as the Lions defense, but pretty elite.
Hey, elite defenses all around. And Guardian Alarm, let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts. Our professional technicians take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. 24/7 professional monitoring. Call us anytime, day or night, and know that a Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as needed. Technology backed by people. Your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work and people who have been proven to care. Call them at 1-800-STAY-OUT. That's 1-800-STAY-OUT. Guardian Alarm, your local security experts.
The Sports Marketing Agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zuniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in Downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
For over 60 years, Fairway Packing Company has provided Michigan's finest restaurants, hotels, and casinos with prime beef, Wagyu beef, and dry-aged beef. Experience the Fairway difference for yourself today. Visit the steak shop in Grosse Pointe Woods for grab-and-go steaks or order online at fairwaypacking.com.
This is my Lambeau Field champion trophy right here. The Lions own Lambeau Field after two back-to-back essentially wins. We're back here. It's the Morning Woodward Show. Thank you guys for sticking with us, man. It's much appreciated. I know Lions fans are fired up today. So are we. I got my participation medal here. Yeah, I did steal it from my little brother. That is fair. But you know what? It's an NFC North champion medal right now. This is one. Because the Lions are one in the NFC North, and I don't see them falling. I don't. And they're playing great football. They're at their peak right now. They're hitting their stride. And I want to get more into Aiden because we didn't really cover him a ton last break. We just kind of talked about everything. There's a lot to get to. But Aiden Hutchinson, and Darius Slay said this, top 10 defensive player in the NFL. Darius Slay thinks that. Hey, that's what Darius Slay says. You think he knows ball? I think so. Aiden Hutchinson, the last 2 games, he has 3.5 sacks. 1.5 last night, and he had 2 sacks against the Falcons and a forced fumble. This man, and by the way, and I just want to say, it goes back to the point I made on the pregame show with Neil Rule. Yes, Aiden, you'd like him to start getting sacks. This was before the Falcons game. But the man is in quarterbacks. He's in every quarterback's face. He's been doing that. Seattle struggled a little bit against backup tackles. It is what it is. But 3 out of the 4 games, he's been pretty dominant. Even the Kansas City Chiefs game. Yeah. Dominant game, just didn't have a sack. Mm-hmm. Once everybody else stepped up, this isn't, I said it on, Monday. This isn't science. It's not a complicated thing, right? And Aaron Glenn made a ton of adjustments. I give him a ton of credit. He's moving guys around. You're getting Derek Barnes involved, or getting after the passer. You're getting Jack Campbell. He's mixing things up, moving Aiden around when they wanted to double team him, making him unpredictable. Like, AG deserves a ton of credit. I want to get that out the way. But the other part of this is Aleem McNeil, last 2 games, that's the Aleem McNeil we've been expecting. That's the guy that was sold to us before the season. Benito Jones, even Benito, I got to give him some credit. Stepped up. He's a part of this run defense that's one of the best in the NFL right now. And then you go across, John Kaminsky. You can keep going, and they're still without a couple of pieces. James Houston, not here. Josh Pascal, my guy, who I'm excited to see, not here. Like, they're stepping up, Sam. And by default, the last 2 games, the others stepped up. AG made adjustments. Guess what Aiden did? He's been dominant. Ooh. He just needed someone else to step up, and they did just that.
They most certainly did.
It is amazing to see.
Yes, and that is I'm happy you mentioned that because I was going to get into it a bit too myself.
And then real quick, Isaiah Buggs. I got to give him credit. I don't want to leave him out because Lucas wanted to see more Buggs. We all wanted to see more Buggs. And he got a sack last night. Shout out to Bucks.
No, he did. Hey, and you read my mind. I was going to get to him at some point during this segment because I want to touch on a lot of people who stepped up. But of course, I got to start with none other than Aiden motherfucking Hutchinson. Yes, I'm going to say his whole middle name because I'm obviously as big of a fan of his as you will find probably on planet Earth. As I always say, I think I love him even more than his mother does. And it's games like that and it's a start to a career like that which, makes Lions fans really love him because in this game, he was the leader of the defense. He was the best player on the field, at least defensively, and maybe even in the whole game. I don't know if I'm willing to say that Darius, go as far as Darius Slay and say that he's a top 10 defensive player in the NFL right now, but I'll tell you what, he will be. And I predict that someday in his career, he will win Defensive Player of the Year. And Aiden Hutchinson is most certainly right now a top 10 edge rusher, maybe even creeping up a little bit higher into the top 10 than maybe people are even comfortable with putting him. But Aiden Hutchinson has absolutely stepped up. He had a sack and a half, 3 quarterback hits, a tackle for loss, which now gives him 3.5 sacks in 4 games, which puts him well on pace for that 15 that I predicted him.
You know what else it puts him in, right? He's tied for 6th in the NFL in sacks. You know who's around him? Micah Parsons has a half more. Myles Garrett has 1 more. TJ Watt in a different stratosphere. Yes. He has double. But regardless, you know what he brings. He's in that echelon, and he's in his second year, right? So, again, 3.5 sacks. He's tied with Leonard Floyd, Rashawn Gary. Like, he's in that. He has more than Joey Bosa, Trey Hendrickson, Montez Sweat, Josh Allen, Brian Burns. This is data. Like, this is the statistics. This isn't a lie. He's been that guy. Top 10 defensive player. That I would have to really sit down and think about that. But so far, he's tied for 6th in sacks. So that matters.
Well, you know what? If he... And I want to give a little bit of a context. He's played in more games. He's played in one more game than a lot of the players that you mentioned. But still, you know what? I like that stat so much that I almost didn't even want to include that context. He has still been great. And in one of the games he didn't get a sack, he was still dominant against Kansas City and was pressuring Patrick Mahomes all game. I'll tell you what, though, if Aiden Hutchinson actually achieves this year at an individual level what I think he will, which is 15 sacks, all while leading a defense that is really, really good, which I think they have a chance to be a very, very good defense when it's all said and done, then you can most certainly call Aiden Hutchinson a top 10 defensive player in the NFL. Because if he gets 15 sacks, he most certainly has to be in consideration for an all-pro. I know the edge rusher position is deep. They have a lot of great players like Micah Parsons and Nick Bosa and Myles Garrett and the like, but still, TJ Watt, but still, you're going to have to consider Aiden Hutchinson. You're going to have to put him maybe in a tier below those names. And I'll tell you what, if he actually has 15 sacks, you never know how some of those players will finish the season. You might be looking at him as a dark horse defensive player of the year candidate. I'm not saying he's going to win it, but you're going to have to put him up there in terms of at least consideration. But as we mentioned before, it wasn't just Aiden Hutchinson because he had a hell of a game. He was the best player on their defense. But the Lions sacked Jordan Love 5 times and intercepted him twice. That is absolutely unbelievable. I want to give out to John Kaminsky. Give a shout out to John Kaminsky. He had a sack and 3 quarterback hits. Aleem McNeil, who you mentioned, had the second best game of his career, has looked like he's actually going to emerge as the player who is going to have a breakout season, which we all predicted, and he is right on track for that after having the last game in which he had a sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 quarterback hits. You got Charles Harris, who had a half a sack and 2 quarterback hits. Isaiah Buggs had a sack. Jerry freaking Jacobs, who was much maligned after that Seattle Seahawks game, had 2 interceptions, and I loved it in the watch party when he had those interceptions. We were all shouting, Jerry, Jerry,
Yeah.
Jerry. And you know what? I wish he could have heard that because he heard a lot of criticism, and now we're giving him his flowers. He was absolutely unbelievable.
And he did hear it. He commented on that Instagram post on Woodward Sports.
Hell yeah.
So he was feeling the love.
Hell yeah. And shout out to you, Jerry Jacobs. Played the best game of your career in a huge spot. And another guy I want to give a shout out to who kind of gave us a little bit of a scare at one point during the game and is kind of being, I would say, overlooked in this game. How about Brian Branch? For the second game in a row, despite not even playing the whole game, he led the team in tackles. He had 7 while also having a pass deflection and kind of just being all over the field. This was a total team domination when it comes to defense, following a total team domination last week. And Aiden Hutchinson is the leader of that. And as long as he has the help around him to kind of, open things up for him a little bit, step up, get some sacks, get some tackles, maybe stop the run a little bit. The sky's the limit for Aiden Hutchinson. Maybe now we trust the help around him more than we did against Seattle. And like we said before, this team, if they keep progressing the way they're progressing, especially if James Houston comes back, Kirby Joseph and the likes, is this a team that can maybe be a top 10 defense?
No, at this point, they're playing like it, even with injuries, which, again, that's credit to coaching, also the players, but it's impressive. Aiden Hutchinson, and this is no disrespect to the rest of the defensive line because those guys are playing really well. But Aiden, and I talked about this before, and we had this discussion, Aiden doesn't have a Dexter Lawrence next to him like Kayvon Thibodeau. He doesn't have a Josh Allen next to him like Trayvon Walker or playing on the same defense as him. He's got pretty good guys, Aleem McNeil, like solid guys, and he's still out there wrecking football games. Imagine if you had somebody else that commanded double teams, and maybe Aleem McNeil's on that route, who knows. But as of right now, what Aiden's doing, with less help than the other defensive ends that came out of his same draft class, he is the best player out of that draft class. And you talk about an all-pro season coming for Aiden. If he keeps up this type of production, he's going to hit 15 sacks. Yeah. Like he has 3.5 through 4 games. So, again, you kind of do the math there. He's going to hit 15, or at least be in the realm of 15. So, Aiden Hutchinson, certified stud. That's a franchise defensive end and a man who, when the lights are the brightest, he shows up. That's the type of football players you want on this team. You mentioned Brian Branch, rookie. Guess what? Bright lights, he showed up. Amon-Ra showed up. David Montgomery getting his first win against the Packers. This man has heard Aaron Rodgers call his team daddy, or his team called Aaron Rodgers daddy his entire career with the Bears. And he comes to the Lions and puts 30 for over 100 on him with 3 TDs. Hat trick in the end zone. Shout out to all those guys, man. Stepped up, made some plays. Let's go to break. When we get back, I do want to get into to more of the Jared Goff stuff here. Just give him some credit. And, of course, we'll go around the NFL, give our picks, so on and so forth. Again, appreciate you guys for joining the stream. Let's try to get to 300 likes. We're only 28 away, roughly. Or we're really 17 now. So if you can hit that like button, we'd much appreciate it, man. Seriously, thank you guys for choosing us this morning. It means a ton. Trying to be the voice of the people today and celebrate this victory. It's not just us. We're all celebrating. Gather in, everybody. Gather in.
Gather in.
It's like you call me, whatever. Look at me like a family member. We're just chopping it up. We'll get back, and we'll talk more about Jared Goff. But first, I got to tell you about Big Boy here. Because, again, if you want to celebrate a victory, maybe you're indulging in some alcohol beverages, and you want to go to Big Boy and eat it away, get some food. Big Boy's got it. They got burgers. They got chicken sandwiches. They got so much more as well. You can upgrade your fries. They got desserts. Again, check it all out at Big Boy.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Burgers and chicken sandwiches are taking over at Big Boy. Try our new pretzel bacon cheeseburger. Turn up the heat with Bob's Hot Chicken Sandwich. Upgrade those regular fries with our chili cheese fries or loaded baked potato fries. Hit your sweet tooth with funnel cake fries or Reese's chocolate peanut butter thunder cake. Load up on all your favorites today at Big Boy.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Let's talk about Outdoor Equipment Company. Outdoor, official equipment provider of Woodward Sports. Michigan-grown, family-owned, bad boy mowers, tractors, STYL handhelds, and even weed whippers. Liberty trailers, Generac generators, Snow X plows, and salters. Outdoor Equipment Co. has it all. Buy it, rent it, 0% financing, delivery to your doorstep. All you have to do is visit their website at outdoorequipco.com.
Man, oh man. So much more to get to on this Victory Friday. You know what's cool? Victory Mondays, Victory Fridays. I can get used to this.
2 in a week?
2-0 on the road. It's a great day to be a Detroit Lions fan. And before the Jared Goff stuff, because JB, very clutch. He's holding it down in the TD booth right now. My man got me both perspectives of each head coach, right? There's always that. It's polar opposites. You got Dan Campbell and what he was feeling after the game. And then you got Matt LaFleur and what he was feeling after the game. Here's Dan Campbell after that big win against the Green Bay Packers.
You guys went and earned that win. Everything about it, man. That's one. That's 2 in a row, and it's a conference win, gentlemen. Great. We're 3-1 at the quarter. Man, the sky's the limit. We keep playing defense the way we're playing. And we control the game on offense. We control the game on offense. We can do whatever we want to do, man, but we can never lose this. We can never lose this. It is a team ball. Who said that? Oh, team ball. There ain't no doubt.
Let's go.
That's an outstanding win, man. I'm so proud of you guys. That's one, man. That is one division win. You guys get your rest. Enjoy this break. You fucking earned it. And then we move on and we get ready for Carolina after this.
Oh, yeah. Hey, how about that fucking defense today, boys? Hey, keep doing this. This is just a start. Keep fucking doing this. Know who the fuck we are. Let's go. Win on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Wow. Dan Campbell loved his post-game speeches to the boys in the locker room after. You know what's interesting, though? Especially when you win, it's easier to do this. Go look at the other coaches. Listen, Lions fans had to sit through the Seattle Seahawks celebrate with blue ski masks in their locker room. We can enjoy this. Here's Matt LaFleur talking about the game afterwards.
I mean, you saw it, Pete. I mean, we got our ass kicked. If I knew, it wouldn't have happened.
Matt, they didn't blitz until...
That's a BS question, man.
My man is about to cry. Like Dan Campbell has broken Matt LaFleur's will. I mean, because again, this isn't just about the years with Aaron. You go back and you look at when Dan got here. Yes, that first year was rough. You had to get things in order, right? There's a long process. Sheila knew that. Dan knew that. Brad knew that. But once they got this football team going, they started adding more talent. They haven't looked back since. They swept the Packers last year, and they whooped their ass at Lambeau. And Matt LaFleur mentally is shattered. That man, a Mount Pleasant native, by the way. And I actually like Matt LaFleur. I think he's a pretty good coach.
Yeah.
Got his ass handed to him yesterday, Sam Flannel, from a coaching perspective. And that man's about to cry.
Yeah, I mean...
He is.
You know what that press conference and all that says to me from Matt LaFleur?
Like a little bitch.
Hey, I mean, you know what? Jeff Iafrate said it. But here's the thing. Matt LaFleur...
Dan Campbell would never.
Hey,
we'll continue.
You're actually right. Matt LaFleur, he had a chance, I would say, between 2019 and 2021 to really establish himself as a great NFL coach. I know a lot of it was because of Aaron Rodgers, but if the Packers could have cashed one in and won a Super Bowl, we might be looking at Matt LaFleur in a similar light to how we look at a guy like Sean McVay now, because obviously him being there did things for Aaron Rodgers. They had great regular seasons, and I mean, Aaron Rodgers won 2 MVPs under him. And he's an offensive coach, and that's what he does. But in the last couple of years, last year was the worst year of Aaron Rodgers' career. They didn't make the playoffs. And now maybe Matt LaFleur is finally realizing this team sucks, and I might get fired. I think that's what Matt LaFleur is thinking right now, because even he, I mean, I definitely know he didn't. Nobody could have foreseen the way that they were physically, and they were just manhandled in that game. They were mauled from start to finish. Yeah. They didn't even look like they were on the same, they belonged to the same field as the Lions, and it was at Lambeau on prime time.
Right.
That's demoralizing, and the complete inverse is Dan Campbell. You know what that looks like to me? Kind of the complete opposite of Matt LaFleur, and I kind of want to touch on this really quickly. Mm-hmm. The Detroit Lions throughout most of this season, I would even argue coming into the season and in the early parts of this season after they beat Atlanta, we were talking about them as a team that they could win the division, win a playoff game, but they're not Philadelphia or San Francisco.
No.
But when they win a game like that, even though it's not a great Packers team or anything like that, but still just a thorough domination on the road of a divisional opponent,
right.
I'm starting to maybe think that the sky could be the limit for this team. Maybe they could win a couple of playoff games. Maybe they could actually, dare I say, go to the NFC Championship game. Maybe win that. Maybe go to, I'm not even going to say that word right now, but still, you get what I'm saying. Those are the type of statement wins. And the way that Dan Campbell gave that speech in the locker room, the way the players just seemed to respond to it and were so happy, it was such a celebratory atmosphere, that's because they know that their trajectory is upward, and that is one of the biggest regular season wins in recent memory for the Detroit Lions because of the division implications. And now we realize, I think as fans, and I think they even realize as players and coaches, that the NFC North is pretty much a wrap.
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily speak too soon, but they're 3-1 with a home game against Carolina and an away game at Tampa Bay. They're looking at 5-1. And the Green Bay Packers, they're already a game back, facing a game at Ford Field later on into the season, in which the Detroit Lions, I would say, would be heavy favorites. And if you win the division, if you can kind of wrap it up early, hell, maybe even the Lions could sneak up a little bit on the seeding ranks and maybe hit the 1 or 2 seed, because this is looking like a team that can play and beat anybody.
I agree, Sam. I mean, Daniel, he says, you guys are awesome, bright and every day, specifically after a Lions win. Greetings from U.S. Army, Europe, and Africa. Well, thank you, Daniel, for your service, number one. Yeah, seriously, appreciate your service, and thank you for choosing us. Like, that's significant. We appreciate that. For people, Rashad Walker says, Jeff went on to compliment the man, only to clown him in the next breath. And I want to bring that up, too, about the whole Dan never crying. He did cry, but you know what? That doesn't fit my narrative. It doesn't fit my narrative, so I don't want to bring it up. Right? He cried, but I don't like talking about that. Let's just talk about Matt LaFleur being a little bitch, all right? Matt LaFleur got mopped, on the floor with Dan Campbell, using Matt LaFleur's head as the bottom of the mop, just sweeping up the floor. That's what he was doing. Mopped your ass. That's what he did. And got more than that, too. Dan Campbell, like, the adjustments he's made, I got to give him a ton of credit, too, because he chose to take the points to put them up 2 scores. And then guess what? Quay Walker made a bonehead mistake right on cue. It seems like with Quay Walker, every time that they play the Lions, Quay Walker, I think he's like a 12th man on the field for the Lions. I swear, Quay Walker is. Like, I don't know, there needs to be an NFL investigation on Quay Walker. This dude helps the Lions win. And I appreciate you, Quay Walker. As a Lions fan, I appreciate you. But again, Chuck Brewer says, Dan Campbell cried because he cared so much and you felt bad for him. Yeah, it seemed like Matt LaFleur cried because it felt like when Dan cried, it was more, he felt bad for the players because they fight their ass off in practice and they can't win a damn game. Matt LaFleur felt like he was mad, like, because it was like a shot to his ego. Like, he was like upset, but he was like, those Lions, man, like, yeah, you guys can crown them. Go ahead and crown them. Like, I don't know. It sounded a little bitter. And I don't think Dan is like that, but Matt LaFleur, decent head coach. I think he's a good head coach. But, man, that was an ass whooping. And I don't think the Packers, I don't want anybody to start calling the Packers this trash-ass team because Eric Allen's spot on. I'm giving props to both coordinators. Great game plans by both, and it showed. And then Eric Allen also mentioned how they're better than the Bears, and they're still like a fringe playoff team, which I agree with that. Like, I don't want to sit here and get Packers fans, I don't know if they're saying this or anybody else in the NFL is saying this, but, the Packers, they're not that good anyway. No. You can't pull that. Just because the Lions made them look awful does not mean they're awful. The Lions just do that. They did that to the Falcons. They were a team that loves to run the ball. It stopped right there when they hit Ford Field. Stopped. And you would have thought the Falcons were a 2-win team after leaving that football game. They were 2-0. The Packers were 2-1. Made them look like they're gonna have a top 3 pick. They're still gonna win 8 and 9 games. Like, the Lions are making them look this way. They're not actually this way. That's what's important. That's what's important. And that's what's most impressive to me.
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it right on the head. It's sometimes a team can get you off of what you want to do, like the Lions have done, particularly in the last couple of weeks with the Falcons and the Packers. We might be looking back at this season and see Bijan Robinson with 1,300, 1,400 rushing yards in the Atlanta Falcons. Hell, they may be fighting for the NFC South, but against the Detroit Lions at Ford Field, they looked ordinary. They looked terrible. They put up 6 points. The Green Bay Packers, I know so far this season they haven't run the ball effectively, but that's because Aaron Jones has missed more than half the season. But when the Green Bay Packers are right, what they want to do is run the football with Aaron Jones because he is their best skill position player. And when he's healthy, he is one of the best backs in I would say even the NFL, certainly the NFC. But the Lions completely shut that down 100% and made Jordan Love try to beat them with no help from the running game and playing from behind. And the Jordan Love has proven that that's not something that he can do, at least as of right now. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and he was facing constant pressure too, which knocked him off of his game as well. Sometimes a team is good. Sometimes a team, I don't know if the Green Bay Packers are good, but I think they're a team that can win 7, 8 games, definitely be second in this division, but they're nowhere near the Lions. And that's the thing. Sometimes this Lions defense, which has been restored into a way which maybe they can be dominant. They certainly have in these last couple of games. Sometimes the Lions just do that to you. And these are the freaking Lions. Like less than a year ago today, they were 1-6 and we were talking about tanking, and now we're talking about as maybe Super Bowl contenders. This is, what a world we live in. Like, can we actually, as a chat and as people in this room, Kool-Aid, JB, Jeff, myself, really appreciate what the Lions have done, what the Lions have done for us, what they've done for the city of Detroit, what they've done for our network? It's unbelievable. And not to get too sentimental, but it really is sometimes important to remember where you came from so you can appreciate it that much more. The Detroit Lions are good. They're one of the best teams in the NFL, and it will be reflected on my power rankings. Well, next week.
And we're doing that Tuesday. Top 10 Tuesdays again, guys, here on the Morning Woodward Show. So stay tuned for that. Can't wait to see where I have the Lions this week, or next week rather. And this is the whole theme of the show, and I want this to be the thing that sticks in the craw of Lions fans. Remember this statement: this is the new era in Lions football. I'm telling you, this is different. There's too much evidence to go forward that point. Like, there's just too much. Like, the records you're seeing them set, the rookie setting records, Dan Campbell setting records, what they're doing, the eyeball test, right? You can look at all the stats, but Sam Flannel, you know this. You have to balance it. It's the eyeball test. You see it. I don't have to tell you that Sam Laporta has the most receiving yards through his first 4 games than any tight end, receptions through his first 4 games than any other tight end. You just see him out there. Like, you just see it. This team is a team that I would hate to play in the playoffs. And you can say that about obviously the 49ers or the Eagles, but depending on where the Lions shape up, they're a gritty team. They have belief, which is dangerous. When you walk into a game knowing you're going to win, it's different. In past, it feels like Lions players or Lions coaches, it felt like, okay, we need to win, but it was never the mentality of we are going to win. That's different. And they have that. It's a new era of Lions football, and I can't wait to cover it. I really can. I wouldn't ask for a better crew to do it with. Let's go to break here. When we come back, I do want to get into just some around the NFL. We'll give our picks, and we'll go through some games here. Or maybe actually we'll talk about Jameer. Let's save the picks for 9:30. We'll go through that. But 9:16, let's talk about Jameer. I want to clear that up because I think it's an interesting conversation. I've seen people chirping about it, and I want to give my thoughts on it. People can give their thoughts on it. Again, you're watching the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Hit that like button if you so could. We appreciate you. But first, can I hear about our friends over at Swiss Insurance?
Of course, absolutely.
Thank
Do
you.
you have football on the brain? Fall ushers in college and
On the
professional
brain.
football, and this year is going to be awesome. Fall is also the perfect time to shop your home and auto insurance. Shop it like a pro with Swiss Insurance. They cover Woodward Sports Network, and they should be covering you too. Ask for Mark at Swiss Insurance today at swissins.com or call 248-800-4177. Again, that is 248-800-4177, Swiss Insurance.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Gabby is a college student struggling to study for her big exam. Then, she discovered Syntron, a healthy way for her to stay awake and focus. Jennifer frequently has chaotic days like this until she gets online, orders some Syntron, and finds her groove. April visited her local grocery store, purchased a case of Syntron, and entered to win the Syntron 100K Vegas giveaway. Pick up your case of Syntron today at any Meijer location or visit drinksyntron.com/Vegas and enter for the 100K Vegas giveaway.
Let me tell you about our friends over at Glorious, because if you're like other Lions fans and you're smoking on that Packers pack, well, I'll tell you what. I got a place you can go to and get Glorious Cannabis because they're dropping a new ice water bubble hash infused pre-roll called Honolulu Blue. It smells so good in honor of the Detroit Lions, hopefully getting their first playoff win in over 31 years. If you haven't had one of these ice water pre-rolls, you're missing out. Find them at Distro Dispensary for 25% off. Check them out online at www.gloriouscanna.com. Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. Man, Victory Friday. I can get used to this. And we're going to have another one when they square off against the Packers on Thanksgiving. I can feel it in my bones. I can feel it. Beat them. Do it on Thanksgiving, please. Ideally. That'd be amazing. But I'll tell you one thing. Jahmyr Gibbs. And I've seen conversation about this. I've seen from both angles, and I can't lie to you, and I'll be honest, because I had to sleep on this one. Watching the football game, it's not about how much they used him, it's how they used him. That maybe I was sitting there watching the game, and I'm thinking, man, like, just running in between the tackles. Like, get this man in space. And they tried to. It didn't work out. And it's, you know, some things he's not going to pop every single time. You see the explosive ability. And he had some third down conversions. He was clutch. He showed up when they needed him to. And David Montgomery, his style of running was much needed in that football game. He wore the Packers down, 30 carries. It seems like David got better as the game went on. But by Jahmyr, though, and again, the Lions don't necessarily need him yet, and that's the other part of this, too, is I'm going to be patient with this. But I want to bring up this stat because I thought it was super interesting, and shout out to Danny Bennett, at Real Danny B, for tweeting this out. He says, carries through 4 games of their rookie year. Bijan Robinson, 39. Christian McCaffrey, 31. Alvin Kamara, 15. Jahmyr Gibbs has 31. Jahmyr Gibbs has as many carries through his rookie year than Christian McCaffrey did. Carries. Now, I'd have to check the catches on that, but regardless, we're talking about carries. He has the same amount of carries as Christian, about 8 less than Bijan Robinson. So, again, as an RB2, as somebody that he's kind of a change of pace back right now, and they're not trying to, run him into the ground right now. So, David Montgomery's the RB1, the guy, the bruiser, the guy. It's kind of like Jamal and Swift last year. That's essentially the roles they're playing. David might mess around and break Jamal's record. On this pace, you're getting 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. Who knows? But to kind of talk about Jahmyr, I'm not worried about it as of right now. Do I want to see her 12th overall pick go out there and explode and be utilized more? Yes, but they don't need him. And they're winning games with how they're using him now. So I'm not going to sit up here and complain. I think as time goes on, you're going to see more of Jahmyr in the passing game. That's more where I'm looking for. 8 yards, 8 rushes for 40 yards. That's solid. He had some third down conversions. He has some big plays. That's fine. But I do think that the receiving side of things, you can be more creative with Gibbs. There's a couple plays there where he was wide open, and I think it was on the pick actually golf through. Jahmyr was actually in the flat, wide open. But those things happen. Right? As time goes on, I think he's going to be involved more. Get the guy the ball in space, especially in the passing game. But right now, Sam Flannel, just to kind of speak to all the people that are like, man, Jahmyr, why even draft him? I'm not going to say that through 4 games. It's clear they're easing him along, but still, you see the talent. And I get why people want to see more, but I'm not going to hit the panic button just yet. I think I need a bigger sample size to start doing that, Sam Flannel. And I had to sleep on that. I did.
All right. Well, I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I know it's Victory Monday and Victory Friday, and Victory Friday certainly cures a lot of ills because the Lions won that game. They won it in dominating fashion, and I don't want to bring up anything that I'm necessarily worried about or anything like that because they're still winning and their offense is looking very, very good. But Jahmyr Gibbs, I wouldn't say that I'm worried. I would just say that I'm one of those people that are kind of like, should you have taken him at 12? I know it's all good. It's all good. The Lions are a 3-1 team, and Jahmyr Gibbs has looked okay when he's gotten opportunities. In the last game, he had 17 carries for 80 yards as the number 1 option. But then when you get David Montgomery back, and I understand that David Montgomery played a hell of a game, particularly just kind of wearing the defense down at the end and getting 3 rushing touchdowns while carrying the ball 32 times coming off of injury. That is 100% insane.
That's impressive.
But I will say this. Jahmyr Gibbs carried it 8 times, and a lot of those carries were between the tackles. And he averaged 5 yards a carry, 8 carries for 40 yards.
Yeah, he's averaging, 4.6 on the year compared to David Montgomery's 3.8. So he's the more explosive back as advertised.
Sure, and when he's gotten opportunities to carry the football, except for the Seattle game, he has looked pretty good. This stat line actually is eerily similar to the one he had at Kansas City, where he had 7 carries for 42 yards. But as the number 12 overall pick, I know David Montgomery was the workhorse, and he had a hell of a game, but I'm still kind of like, you really only got a fourth the carries of David Montgomery. Maybe the game called for it. Maybe the game dictated it, and they did win, so I'm not going to complain too much. But still, I'm a little worried about Jahmyr Gibbs. And you know where else I'm worried about Jahmyr Gibbs? And I'm going to pull a little bit of a Neil Rule. I keep hearing about how they're going to utilize him in the passing game, but I never see it. This season, he has 14 receptions for 70 yards. Some of those passes that they're throwing to him, it's like they're not getting him in space. I know one of them, he was tackled for a loss. It's just these little short throws where it's like there's nothing really that Jahmyr Gibbs can do. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, because if you had to talk about the critique there, I guess with Jahmyr Gibbs, is you want to bring up the passing game. That's fair. For Jahmyr, he has 5 yards per catch, in totality, because some of those are blown up. Yeah. I get that. He's more talented than that. But again, it is 4 games. I'm willing to give him some more time there. I don't have a problem with using David as much as they did yesterday. And the more I thought about it, it's what the game called for. They used David Montgomery in that the physical style of running that David does, I think just broke the Packers' defensive line. He wore them out. You saw in the fourth quarter him break for a couple good runs there. I think that's the style that countered what the Packers do best. He was just wearing them down. I think that's really why you saw as much. And, of course, when they were up late in the game, they wanted to run the football, so there's that too. But regardless, I think the style of what David brings, they needed yesterday. Now, with the whole Jahmyr thing, I get it, people's concerns. Typically in the NFL, and I'll just say, and I'm not trying to, this isn't about Gibbs, this is just across the NFL. When you draft a running back, especially that high, there is an easing along point, but then there's a point where you just are unleashed. Like, we drafted you 12. We're going to use you. That I'm going to just give it some time, because Chuck brought up a great point. And this makes a lot of sense. He mentioned how, and I have to find the comment specifically, but essentially it was talking about Jahmyr Gibbs and how it's not about here we go. Our goal is a long playoff run. Let's not burn out the rookie in September. Chuck Brewer said that. And I actually agree with that, because there is some truth to that. Like, a guy who, again, he's 5'9", 5'9", about 200 pounds, if that. I get it. You're not trying to run the guy into the ground right now. But again, I think in the passing game, though, that's what I get that part of it. If there's one thing to critique, it's like I would like to see him utilizing different sets or get Jahmyr in space in different ways in the passing game. Yes. The running game I'm not as mad about, but I think there's more untapped potential in the receiving game for him. I do.
Okay, so Chuck, let me respond to that really quick, because I know that you've been kind of a defender of Jahmyr Gibbs, and I've been, I would say, a little bit hard on him at times. And they did win, so let me preface this by saying they did win, and all is well and good. But you're talking about wearing him down in September. He had 7 carries in the first game, 7 in the second game, 8 in the fourth game, and then 17 where he actually had to be the number 1 back. Here's the thing, and Jeff, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask, it's kind of rhetorical, but I want you guys in the chat to, I would say, respond either with your keyboard or even just in your head.
Talk to me, I'll answer.
Okay. David Montgomery carried the ball 32 times. Is it fair for me to question, why would they draft a running back at number 12 overall and then give David Montgomery 32 carries in a game? 32 carries is something that just doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, no, I get that, but there's also the part of it is you kind of just go where the game takes you. And I believe, Sam, that game, the style in which David runs the football, physical, he wore them down. So they kept giving it to David. And, of course, they had the lead, so they had to run the ball. So I think those two mixed, that's kind of how you get 30. Now, you could say, well, I want to see Jahmyr used more, but guess what? They used David Montgomery. I know the yards per carry, if you want to bring that up, you can critique it. But still, the guy just made plays. 4th and goal, he got it in. Like, that's the point, because even I was on the show yesterday. Like, I'd like to see Jahmyr score. Even I fell a little victim to that. But they won the game with David Montgomery getting those tough yards. I think personally, Sam, to answer that question, I think what they needed last night to kind of counter that Packers defensive line, David brought. And in the style in which he plays. And he was always going to be the guy that got a lion's share of the carries, no pun intended. But he was always going to be getting a lion's share of the carries. Maybe 30 is something you didn't expect. But I just think how the game flowed and what, the Lions were having success was running the ball with David Montgomery. Like, he was wearing that defense down. That's what I think.
No, and that's fair. And David Montgomery had a hell of a game. And I know it's just 4 games. And I know that I don't want to talk about anything negative. I am more convinced now than ever that Jahmyr Gibbs is never going to be that superstar running back. I think he's going to be a very, very solid contributor on this offense. But the way that they're using him, the way that they're still riding David Montgomery, I'm just thinking, do you really think you couldn't have gotten that production if you would have didn't draft a running back in the first round and maybe got Devon A-Chain later on, or Zach Charbonnet or something like that? That's more what I'm saying. At positional value, the way that they're using Jahmyr Gibbs, even though they're winning, I'm not necessarily happy about. I don't want to hear about easing in a number 12 overall pick. Well, because at that point, you're basically saying you're not expecting him to be great or a superstar.
Well,
I'm sorry.
To counter that, though, Sam, and this is the thing I brought up earlier with Danny Bennett tweeting this out, carries through the first 4 games of their rookie career. He's got the same as Christian McCaffrey, and McCaffrey was taken higher.
Okay, that's
and he's a pretty damn good back.
That is a great counterpoint, and maybe I'm a little bit too quick to sort of peg him right now, and I get that.
But I also don't have the receptions for Christian. That's the other. I don't know. I'm telling you, carries, because I agree with you in the passing game. And they won. Everything's all fine. But as the season goes on, I expect more in the passing game. But that's the carries. I don't think they're off with the carries, Sam. I don't. And I'm a guy that loved Jalen Carter before the draft, but even I'm willing to admit this. I think they're using him just fine as of right now. I do.
All right, and they're winning football games, so we're all happy.
That's what matters.
That is what matters, and that defense doesn't look like it's really missing anybody. I'll just let you infer what you're going to want to infer. Their run defense has been dominant. Their pass rush has gotten 12 sacks in the last 2 games, so there's nothing really to complain about, I will say. It's just that I've always been a little bit weary of the number 12 overall pick running back, especially when it's a guy that coming in, a Jahmyr Gibbs, it was almost universally decided cited by everybody, oh, he's not an every down back. He's not a guy that you're going to want to give the ball to 20 carries a game. And it's like, well, if that's the case, then he better be an elite pass-catching running back if he wants to live up to his draft status. So far, we haven't seen it, but maybe even when you get Jamison Williams back and you have a ton of speed on the field, as Lucas often mentions, maybe that's when Jahmyr Gibbs can be a little bit more unleashed. I would be happy to be proven wrong. It's just that I was a little bit stunned that David Montgomery got 4 times as many carries as Jahmyr Gibbs, especially Jahmyr Gibbs coming off of a game where he had to be the number 1 guy and he looked just fine. That's all I'm saying.
Jake says, I know you expect a number 12 pick to step in and be impactful, but he's still a rookie, and his production when he is not so bad that it's concerning. Just give the guy time to find his flow. And I do think there's going to be one of those games where he does break and has a breakout performance. I'm not going to overact, and I don't think you are either, Sam. You're just, again, you're like a lot of lines. I've seen a lot of people with the same sentiment you're speaking of right now on Twitter. So, again, yes, it's a win, so people hate when you bring stuff up like that. I think he's fine. I think he'll trend like the Lions fans expect him to trend. I think he'll be the explosive weapon we all thought he was, because I made this point about Jahmyr, and this is what does it for me and what makes me okay with the draft pick is you took a guy who's a weapon, and that makes the pick okay for me. If you can use him, if he's a wide receiver hybrid with a running back, then I'm cool with it. And I think the passing game stuff will kind of figure itself out as time goes on. I mean, Sam Laporta's just been reliable as hell. Yeah. And then you have Josh Reynolds out there, reliable as hell. So I get it. I'm not going to in a Cleve frame and make him play. So it is what it is. Burn donates for the $10. Appreciate you, Burn. He says, Sam, I got homework for you. Go look up other first-round running backs. Todd Gurley didn't even play his first 2 games, and Saquon had close to the same number of yards as Gibbs, with the only touchdown being on special teams.
Saquon Barkley had a rushing touchdown in his debut overall game. I'm 100% sure about that.
I don't know.
1,000% sure about that. And for the record, like, I know I see people in the chat all about, like, Flannel is bringing down Victory Monday. No, that is not what I'm doing at all. I'm very happy with the win.
You've been pumping up a ton of people.
I've done a lot of celebrating, and I will gladly pump up the second round draft pick. Sam Laporta is on pace for an 1,000-yard season.
Nemo, appreciate you, Nemo, man. You came in clutch, my guy. He says C-Mac had 22 receptions the first 4 games of his rookie seasons. He didn't say the yards, but right now Jahmyr Gibbs has 14 receptions, so not too far off there. Again, before we go to break, JB, I want to go to you on this, my man, because you've been over there grinding, holding it down for us. But I want to ask you your thoughts on the victory and maybe Jahmyr Gibbs' usage while we're on the topic.
I mean, I got to take my hat off to this team. This has been an amazing first few weeks, and I'm so happy and so proud of this team right now. Look, I know I wasn't here with you guys for the watch party, but when I was out at the bar, seeing all the Lion fans out there as well too, they came out to see this team play the Packers.
Yes, sir.
And to destroy the Packers. Like, at halftime, I kid you not, there was a chant going on saying, fuck the Packers. Like, the whole
Everybody rejoiced.
Everyone in the bar was just yelling, fuck the Packers, fuck the Packers. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I have not seen this in years from people coming out just to be so happy for this team. Thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Dan Campbell. Thank you, Brad Holmes. Like, this is a team that we have all been waiting for years, and I'm just so proud of this team. As far as Jahmyr Gibbs go, I know everyone wanted to see a lot more from him, but as they say in Vegas, you don't leave the table when you're on a heater, and Monty was on a heater, so I wouldn't have went away from him as well either. Even though we want to see a lot more from Jahmyr Gibbs, I think all it just takes is time. He'll get there eventually, but just give him a little bit more time. Maybe when, J-Mo gets back or we get just a little bit more healthy, then you'll start to see those explosive plays. Like you said, it's still early in the season. Ben Johnson doesn't want to throw all the plays and all the ideas he has out there for Gibbs just out there in the first 4 weeks.
And that's fair.
So just give him time, and honestly, we will be impressed with what Gibbs has to offer. So just give it time.
Good stuff, JB. Let's go to break here. When I get back, I want to get my guy Kool-Aid's perspective on the victory as well. But first, I got to tell you about Planet Fitness, because man, Planet Fitness. You want to get in shape? Planet Fitness can help you do that. It's the home of the judgment-free zone where anybody, and I mean anybody, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. All you got to do for more information or to join a local gym near you, visit your local Planet Fitness or www.planetfitness.com. We'll see you guys right after the break.
Brace yourselves, Detroit. As the sun begins to set, two of Woodward Sports' brightest young stars will be taking the mic for a brand new show. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. The dog days in Detroit are over, and the boys are unleashed. Join in on the banter and hop on the bandwagon of the #1 night show on the internet. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel every weeknight from 8 to 10 p.m. Woodward Nights with Spooner and Broder. How would you like to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice? One for you and one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Get to Lady Jane's today for an award-winning haircut and automatically enter for your chance to win. Courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome. Join Woodward Sports' own Jeff Iafrate, along with special WSN guests for the most anticipated Lions season in decades. Filled with different surprises and expert analysis. You're not going to want to miss out. Go to our Woodward Sports YouTube channel on Sundays and tune in live from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m.
Academy of Warren, I'll tell you about it. Brand new state-of-the-art sports dome field house. There's a regulation basketball court, volleyball court, and soccer field. And listen, you sign your child up today, they got tons of features, including small classroom sizes, academic games, free breakfast and lunch, and so much more. Now accepting new enrollment. Go to academywarren.net. The Lions go to Lambeau Field and put a boot in the Packers' ass. That's what happened. And we're just here to recap it. And we've done a great job so far. The people help us do that, man. Appreciate you guys for joining the morning show. You could have been anywhere else this morning. You're here with us, so that's big time. Appreciate that. We're going to get more into Lions stuff. We still got 25 minutes left of the show. And I'm going to go to somebody that needs to speak his piece because he was here at the watch party with us yesterday. Detroit Kool-Aid, my guy, Brandon Dent, covers the Pistons, but that man knows ball. He does. Brandon, I want to ask you, and we can take this anywhere you want to take it. Aiden Hutchinson, Jerry Jacobs, anybody. Some of your takeaways from the football game. What stood out to you?
The bounce back. You know, there were certain players like Jerry Jacobs and certain aspects of this team's defense and offense that we wanted to just see figured out. And I think you said it best, man. They played their first complete game on offense and defense. You could tell from the start of the game that this team was confident. This team was going in here to handle business and do their thing, get off the field and go home. And I loved it. And you know what? Shout out to the fans, man.
Yep.
Shout out to the fans. I saw RG3, Robert Griffin III, he put that post out there as well. We got it up on our socials saying that we basically took over Lambeau. 4 straight wins, man.
They said you would have thought it was Ford Field out there.
Ford Field North. Let's rock. Let's rock. Like, I'm so serious.
Yeah.
Like, I'm proud of this team because I've continued to ask this question all season. You know, I got the host of Heavyweights with the legendary Foster, and I asked him. He was like, look, this team is for real. I've covered this team for over 20 years. Believe in the team. I'm sitting here like, stop. My whole life, man. Yeah. Like, my whole life. They've just been like bad Thanksgiving food after bad Thanksgiving food after, like, I'm just
That's
like.
actually a good comparison.
I'm so serious, man. Oh, my gosh. And now we're sitting here looking at this team, and I feel a little scared sometimes to say it, but I'm stoked to say it. This is a real football team, man.
That's the bar right there.
Woo! I'm pumped up, man.
Yeah.
I'm pumped up.
Yeah,
I'm pumped up. I'm so serious.
The words you use, real football team, that's real. Not to reiterate the same word, but it's real. Like, it's true. It's not just us saying it. Like, national media saying it. Terry Foster, and you brought up Terry, and that's such a great point. Uncle T is the... You know, some would refer to him as somewhat pessimistic at times. You know, Terry's seen a lot. So, you know, he kind of knows what... He'll be like, guys, he'll be like, listen, young man, calm down. I've been seeing this. I've been watching this team for a long time. But even Terry this season looked me in the face, looked Kool-Aid in the face, and looked the people in the face. He was up there on the stand, and he said, you know what, this team's different. And when Terry says that, it's significant. He's seen the good times. He's seen the bad times. Terry's been there every part of every step of the way, and even that man knows it's different, and that's significant. We'll go to break when we get back. I do want to get into some more conversations. We'll go to the people on this. If you got some questions, fire them off. Maybe we'll get to them. And let's just talk more about this victory, because like you said, Sam, during the break, and you're spot on, there's so much more we have not got to.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many players that we could highlight here. I'm going to try and do a good job of getting to as many as we can, but man, oh man, this is the type of show that's a lot of fun. Now, first, though, I got to tell you about our friends over at Randy Wise, because again, guys, Randy Wise, what could be better than golfing with celebrities like Braylon or D-Mac? Golf for yourself. You head to Randy Wise Automotive. Maybe you get lucky and you get to play golf like a celebrity. They hook you up with VIP transportation, free golf, a tasty steak. Make the wise decision and get to Randy Wise today for your chance to win.
Calling all landscapers. This is Darren McCarty. I'm at Outdoor Equipment Co. How would you like to landscape like a legend? How about a bad boy zero turn? And even a chainsaw. And even a weed whipper. So register today at OutdoorEquipCo.com, and even you could have D-Mac on your landscaping crew.
Woodward Sports' own Tom Mazaway and Sam Stick Day will be hosting our Lions postgame show after every Lions game all season long. Tune into the Woodward Sports YouTube channel for his hot-off-the-press takes, game analysis, and Kool-Aid sipping celebrations. You won't want to miss it. Join Maz, Stick, and special guests each week immediately following every Lions game, exclusively on the WSN YouTube channel.
Your home is your most important asset. Flexibility in the sales process is key. When you work with Mark White & Associates, you can cancel at any time, for any reason, without penalty. Speaking of flexibility, check this out. Who you work with matters. Hire the best broker in the game.
How would you like to win a $100K Vegas getaway? Take your closest friends and live it up in a city that never sleeps. It's the Centron Energy Drink It and Live It sweepstakes. Purchase a 24-pack today and enter for your chance to win the $100K Vegas getaway at drinkcentron.com/Vegas and buy Centron at your local Meijer store. Centron, the healthier energy drink with great taste and a choice of people who desire to look good, feel great, and be the best versions of themselves. drinkcentron.com/Vegas.
I could think of somebody who needs that $100K Vegas getaway, Matt LaFleur.
Oh.
That dude, that man needs to get the hell out of here and take a vacation. He's broken. I mean, that was a tough loss to swallow for him. I mean, he got absolutely outplayed and destroyed on both sides of the ball at Lambeau. And what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So maybe that's better for Matt LaFleur, because what happens in Green Bay does not stay in Green Bay. National media ate that up, Matt LaFleur. You guys are getting shredded everywhere. But you know what, though? The Lions deserve this moment. They do. They deserve it. And they deserve the spotlight. They've earned it. The players, the coaches, they deserve everything that's coming to them. And I want to speak on the next 4 games for a second here, because they welcome in the Packers in about 10 days from now at home, and then they travel to Tampa. Then they travel to Baltimore. Then they welcome in the Raiders. So the Panthers, the Bucs, the Ravens, and the Raiders. I want to preview the next 4 games right now and kind of talk about it with the people. What could the record be? I would say at the very least right now, with how they're playing football, you can make an argument they could be 4-0, but Sam, I think realistically they can win 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Which would put them at 6-2.
Yeah, I think 6.
Which is a damn good start.
I think 6-2 going into the bye. Every single one of us would have taken it if you were guaranteed it before the season, because you've got a Carolina team which is currently winless, and they might be winless when the Lions play them, because I could definitely see them losing to the Vikings. If you're a good team that we think they are with the Detroit Lions, they will take care of business in that game, especially since it's at Ford Field. At Tampa Bay, you know, it's funny, Tampa Bay has looked a little bit better in their first couple of games than maybe we would have thought. But you know what? Tampa Bay did come back down to earth in that Monday night game against Philadelphia. They didn't look very good, and Baker Mayfield is still Baker Mayfield. And it's another one. If you are a good NFL team who wants to be a contender, who maybe wants to fight for the 1 seed or the 2 seed and go for heights higher than the division by kind of improving your seeding, you can't lose at Tampa Bay. At Baltimore, that's going to be tough because I'm not as high on Baltimore as some, but they still have a very, very talented team, and they've won a lot of regular season games under John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson, and of course their defense led by Roquan Smith, Jadeveon Clowney, and the like. And then of course there's the home Monday night game against the Raiders, which the Raiders aren't a good team, and I think the Lions will take care of business in that one as well. But I'll tell you what though, I'm not calling for it, but would it shock you, and the chat, you can answer this as well, would it shock any one of you if the Lions went into their bye week 7-1? 6-2 would be phenomenal, but 7-1 the Ravens, they just lost at home to the Colts. They're not some juggernaut or anything like that. I mean, is that realistic, or should we just be happy with 6-2?
No, 5-3. I think, depending on how you got 2 road games, but again, they've won in Kansas City, they've won in Green Bay. Now, Brandon Katz would say, well, they could have lost to Kansas City. Brandon Katz, welcome to the NFL, man. I could see you're new. You could say that about a lot of NFL games. Well, if this happens and this happens, they lose. Well, guess what? It's a W in the win column. It's 1. I don't give a shit what could have happened. No one does. You won the fucking football game, man. Like, that's what happened. We're not talking about what it could have, should have. That's what happened. They were 1-0. So, anyway, for the people that I just had to explain that for people that don't understand. But for people that do understand, you look at the next 4 games. I think they could win 3 or 4. I do. The only one that makes me nervous is at the Ravens. Because that game, I mean, they're well coached. You got Lamar, but they lost to a record-setting field goal by Tucker, Justin Tucker, which was ridiculous, by the way, and that really actually broke my heart, to be honest with you, as a Lions fan. That was a tough one. But regardless, 3 or 4 is ideal. You'd be 6-2. You'd have a pretty comfortable lead, in my opinion, in the division. I don't think the Packers are going to have a record close to that. Maybe they're 2 games behind, maybe 3 games. But that's ideal. And then you go into the bye week, and then you got the Chargers right out of the bye week. That's best case scenario. So I love it. The Lions are setting themselves up to be in a great position right now. Beating Green Bay, beating Kansas City, the 2 teams that I feared the most. And not feared, but I thought could have win either way. That's a better way to phrase it.
Sure.
And they won both those games. Makes it easier going forward.
They did, and 3 of 4 should be anything short of that. I think would be a complete failure, and that's because going at home to Carolina. Do you think the Lions, they could be approaching double-digit favorites in that game? Because the Carolina Panthers, they're not good this year. They may be good in the future, and Bryce Young may be a good quarterback in the future if he even plays. If it's not Andy Dalton, but still, the Carolina Panthers look like a 4-win football team. Yep. They're going to be heavy favorites, probably at home to the Las Vegas Raiders, who have some talent, but still, this is a team that is probably going to finish last in their division. And they're definitely going to be favored at Tampa Bay, because Tampa Bay, I know we kind of dismissed them before the season. They have some talented pieces like Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, and then linebackers like Devin White and the like. They have some talent on their team, but they're quarterbacked by Baker Mayfield, and they still, I could see them probably finishing second to last in their division to the Carolina Panthers. So there's no excuses not to go 3-1 in that stretch. And if you do that, you even further, I would say, extend your lead in the division over the Green Bay Packers, because the Green Bay Packers, they very quietly, and I hate to do this whole scoreboard watching thing because it's only after week 4. They've got at Las Vegas, at Denver versus Minnesota, and home versus Los Angeles. So they could stack up some wins as well. So I guess this is kind of a moment where the Lions need to realize, you're stepped on the throat.
100%.
Your foot is on the neck. Just keep winning football games.
And by the way, Coach Walk bringing up a point that I mentioned earlier, which Coach Walk's spot on here. Two of the more toughest places to play, Arrowhead and Lambeau.
Yeah.
You could argue 2 of the toughest. Now the Packers aren't what they were, but still that Lambeau Field is a tough place to play, and they're 2-0 the last 2 games. And honestly, I think they'll be favored in every football game, even on the road to Tampa. I think the Ravens could be a pick'em. I think it could be close. I don't know if they're not going to be touchdown favorites or nothing like that. It'll probably be like a field goal, if that. I can see the Lions being favored in every one of these games moving up the next 4, depending on what happens with the Ravens, because the Ravens are suffering some injuries. Even if they're favored, it's going to be very, very small. Like they'll be slight favored because they're at home, the Ravens. But that's different. Like the Lions were just favored in Lambeau for the first time in 36, 37 years. And I want to go to you guys, the next 4 games. What do you think, JB? You confident? 3 or 4?
The Ravens.
Yep.
Only out of Lamar Jackson. Like, that's the only thing that is a little iffy to me, that kind of scares me a little bit. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo led Raiders, where one of your wide receivers got the bag and doesn't even want to be there. Not scared. The Baker Mayfield led Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No, I'm not scared at all. And Bryce Young, who knows if he even plays, or even is doing well right now with the Carolina Panthers. I'm not scared. The Ravens are the only team that I'm a little worried about. And like I said, Lamar Jackson, we do have issues with kind of those mobile quarterbacks. But, dude, I would still be happy if we in this run with 6-2. Like, I'm still happy regardless.
Yeah, that's how you expected them to start, and they'd be living up to expectations. Now, even if they're not favored against the Ravens, like, it's going to be close. Like, even Tampa, I think Tampa is one of those sneaky teams. You don't really know what to expect. I think Baker could come out. They have a pretty good defense. They got weapons. They're sneaky. I think the Lions are just better. They're better coached. They are better up front. Like, there's a lot of things I think that favors the Lions. But regardless, Kool-Aid, I'm going to get to you on this. The next 4 games: Panthers, Bucks, Ravens, Raiders. What do you think? What are you feeling?
I want to see the same Lions team that we saw last night. Just that squad that I believe can actually run that table. I really do. I'm really starting to believe in this squad. They realistically should be 4-0 right now. Why shouldn't they be able to take over the next 4 games just the same way?
Right.
Dominant defense, stopping the run, forcing quarterbacks to beat you. And then what you're throwing your receivers and your tight ends into Tracy Walker, absolutely separating them from their souls. I want to see this squad go out there and continue on in the same serious tone that they had and just continue to wreck, man. I saw Campbell talking about it. We're 3-1 this quarter, and we're happy. But I'm glad this team can feel like they should be 4-0.
I want the Lions to go murder a Panther in about a week. That's what I want to happen at home.
Yep.
The Panthers, Bryce Young, he's fragile. I love Bryce, but he is small. And that's somebody that I think that Lions defensive line, if they get off, decent offensive line for the Panthers, but, man, I'm excited. It looks better and better. So getting these wins, the must-wins early on in the season, man, oh, man. That helps. It does, moving forward. Let's go to break. We'll get to mailbag. We'll try to get to as many questions as we possibly can. Again, if you're watching, drop a like on the stream. It does help us. We appreciate you. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at SMA, because the sports marketing agency helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their podcast is The S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, head to thesportsma.com. We'll be right back after the commercials.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
Now, coming to Woodward Sports, Woodward and Main Street, the Woodward Sports Network Detroit Lions Show. Let's go! Catch Gabrielle D. Phillips, Matt Broder, and Terry Foster for all the latest news on your Detroit Lions every week. Only on the Woodward Sports Network YouTube channel and woodwardsports.com.
Hey, this is Mr. Kearney, Chief Academic Officer, Academy of Warren. I want to welcome you to the brand new Field House. The state-of-the-art facility has a regulation basketball court, volleyball court, soccer field. It can be used for 7-on-7 football. Our K-8 academic features AM, PM, latchkey, small classroom sizes, Learning Street, futuristic media center, free breakfast and lunch, Holton Mifflin curriculum, academic games, K-8 athletics, and more. Enroll today at academywarren.net.
Join Woodward Sports and Long Drink
Bullseye!
live next Sunday to get you ready for the Lions versus the Panthers game. It's not this Sunday, but the Sunday after next, after a nice layoff to enjoy that win over the Packers. It's at the Eastern Market in Shed number 5, and it is going to be a bash starting at 9:30 a.m. until game time. The official Lions tailgate is back and better than ever. How would you like to pregame it with Woodward Sports and be treated like a VIP? Food, beverages, and entertainment all included. Get your tickets online today at bullseyeeventgroup.com or win some from Woodward Sports today. Just subscribe to our YouTube, follow us on IG, and direct message Lions VIP.
Welcome back to the Morning Woodward Show here on the Woodward Sports Network. It's Victory Friday in here in Detroit, all across Michigan, all across the U.S. where Lions fans reside. But guess what? It's mailbag time. But first, we had a special guest come in the room. Look at this. Lucas Klotz. You're on the stand. Talk to the people. What happened? Hold on. Wait a second.
Drop the ball, man. Post-game streams, Lions, long drinks. It all got to me. Woke up, saw the sun. Bad sign. Just a bad sign. But the Lions fucking won! Yeah! They won! They went in the Lambeau and they dropped the bomb on the Packers!
There you go.
Jordan Love? That's who you were scared of?
I was never scared.
I know. Just felt good to watch him downfall.
But Lucas, to be fair, we talked about this yesterday, man. Like, I got confirmation. Like, I said it. I'm like, man, what kind of Jordan Love are we seeing? Well, he stinks. So, I don't know what happens in the next 5 years, but I know right now, all Jordan Love knows, Lucas, is losing.
And throwing interceptions.
And throwing
interceptions against the
fair.
Lions. And what does Quay Walker know? Absolutely nothing. He learned nothing from last year. Shout out to Quay Walker again. Big game, fourth quarter. You ain't got the answers, Quay. You ain't got the answers, Quay.
Stiff as a bone.
Stiff as a bone. He was playing good though.
He had like 17 tackles.
Yeah, he was all over the place, but hey, when it matters most, LaFleur and his undisciplined coaching always catches up to him.
Well, I'll say one thing though, man. It's a great day. It really is. I know, Lucas, you'll be on heavyweights tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll be able to spit some facts there, 5 to 7 p.m. tonight. Why you always lying says, did Lucas fall asleep on the stream last night? I don't know.
I was really I'm gonna try and be funny. I was debating whether to sleep here or not, but I just wanted to sleep in my bed. I didn't get home till like 1:45. I didn't fall asleep till like 2:45, 3.
Hey, it happens.
It ain't happening again.
Well,
never again.
Yeah,
if it does, we'll dye my hair blonde.
Okay. Well, you remember that. We saved this episode. If it does happen.
Lewis Riddick.
It was a Lewis Riddick, football god. Yeah, it happens. I mean, we were late. I think I got home at like 12:30. I think it was like 12. Well, actually later than that, like 12:40. We were grinding yesterday, so you're good, Lucas. I still love you. It's all good.
You guys
Still my TD. JB though, can we give a big shout out to JB and Kool-Aid though, man?
Seriously.
Like those guys are the unsung heroes here, man. And Lucas, I just want to ask you too, because we kind of talked about it. I'll tell you one thing though, man. Ali McNeil. And that defensive line showed up to play yesterday, did they not? Aiden Hutchinson wrecked the football game. This defense, they played, and I said this earlier, that was the first, not that it's a big problem, but the first complete football game we've seen. Offense dominated, defense dominated, special teams dominated.
I got a little worried in that third quarter, but then when the game mattered, players stepped up. How about Isaiah Buggs?
Yes.
How about Big Buggs?
Talk to him, Lucas.
I like Big Buggs and I cannot lie.
Oh, gosh.
I love Isaiah Buggs, man. The fact that C.J. Gardner-Johnson, that juice, that energy, like obviously there's still some in that defense, but when you talk about the whole team stepping up, when it gets to that fourth quarter, you need that guy in there that you look to your left. You see Isaiah Buggs in there, you're going to keep – it's like – holding yourself to accountability.
That's a behemoth of a human being, by the way.
He's gonna set you up for success, and that's what he did.
He's a giant.
That's what he did. Shout out Alex Anzalone again, played a stellar, clean game. Shout out Derek Barnes again, stepping up in big ways.
D Barnes, yep.
A lot of good things to see.
A lot of good things.
Oh, but I'm not gonna say it, but there was one big play for the Packers offense. I don't know if you saw who was in coverage.
Rudy Ford. Rudy Ford, you were crapping on him yesterday.
Yeah, he had an interception, then he did nothing after that. But I was talking about one Mr. 25 for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, you know what it is, I'll ask you though. I know Rudy. Hey, you got to get one, right, Rudy?
Yeah.
I mean, he needs to put food.
His name's Rudy for a reason. I think he had that.
Yeah.
He had the nice story in the first quarter, but then.
He needs to put food on his family's plate. You can get a pick. Like, it's fine. You know, it is what it is. Will Harris. You saw some Will Harris out there.
That's
Reed.
That's what I was just talking about.
Yeah, Jaden Reed put him in a...
There was one Detroit Lion in coverage where he was on there for, like, 2 plays.
It is what it is.
But Chase Lucas.
Yeah, and he didn't look terrible, but that one play he gave up. That, what was that, Jaden Reed, I believe that was?
Jaden Reed.
Yeah, man, Jaden Reed's going to be a stud. I want to ask you, though, before we end the show here, and this will kind of close us off, the next 4 games, Panthers, at Bucks, at Ravens, at home against the Raiders. So you have 2 home games, 2 away games. Let me hear it.
We're at, what, 2 in a row right now?
Yeah, 2 in a row. You think they go 4-0 the next 4?
4? I think, man, how they just played on the road against the Green Bay Packers.
You think the Ravens are contenders, though?
I do. But if the Lions, the Ravens are a running football team.
They are.
They're going to have to make Lamar throw. That makes me comfortable, especially after what I saw last night. So I'm thinking Lions can start a streak here realistically if they play consistent football. And they can be doing it on prime time. Get that national narrative building. They're going to beat the Raiders on Monday Night Football with J-Mo. I have no worries about it. I think J-Mo's back for the Ravens, is he not? Or is it that's the week where he's out for 2 more games?
Yeah, that would be the week he'd be able to practice, I believe. So he's out 6 games, and then the 7th game he can before that come practice. So I believe that's the case.
So we'll have J-Mo back against the Ravens?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. I'll ask you what. Hey, you said they're contenders. That's your Ravens.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you. So 4-0, you're saying?
I'm not saying that. I was realistically 3-1.
Okay, 3-1. I agree. I don't.
But I'm not going to be sitting here surprised if it's 4-0.
No,
I'm honestly
I agree
not.
with
But
that.
I just don't want to be full slappy right now. I have an overreaction Friday, which I know what that's for. But I'm trying to say somewhat based in reality. There could be injuries that happen.
Of course.
Just a Justin Tucker 62, 63-yard field goal to send it off. We've seen that before. So I don't know, man. But I'm feeling great.
Yeah, I'm with you, Lucas. I think 3-1's more than likely. Either the loss comes, in my opinion, to the Ravens, or even on the road against the Bucks. And don't ask me why. It's just a feeling. Like it's just one of those games. Yeah, and I don't know why. It's just I think they beat the Panthers. Good defense, but I think they beat the Panthers. I think they beat the Raiders. You shit me? Like those two.
Raiders, yeah.
I think 4-0 could happen. But guess what? I want to appreciate everybody for joining us today, man. It was a special show. We had a lot of fun. Victory Friday. I can get used to this. Victory Friday, Victory Monday. Keep it going. Keep it rolling, Detroit Lions. It's a lot of fun. Again, thank you to everybody who tuned into the show. You have no idea how big it is for us here, the network. It's much appreciated. If you could like the stream, it means even more. But again, we just appreciate your presence. Until Monday, we'll recap a lot of this stuff, kind of go through the NFL, talk about what happened over the weekend. Sorry for no mailbag. I'm sorry. Lucas joined. We want to chop it up with him. So mailbag, my bad. We'll get to all the questions on Monday, so that's on me. I called the shots there, so that's on me. I'll take that. Accountability. Until Monday, Jeff Iafrate, Sam Flannel, Detroit Kool-Aid, Lucas Klotz, JB. We'll see you guys. Thank you so much.
With these fans. Unbelievable. Just enjoy this, Lions fans, for a second.
Well, they deserve that. They deserve this, for sure.